Changes, problems in construction and dispute resolution. This is the topic of discussion in this particular presentation. Come, let us understand how do we negotiate conflict in a much better fashion. So, first and foremost thing, any opposition or differences of opinion, wishes, needs, statement, argument, actions, or principle between two or more staff members, or between staff members and of different functional or departmental in an organization is to be termed as conflict. So it is the dissonance that we create around it. It is the vehement opposition that comes across it. Now, conflict becomes takes a uglier turn depending upon the degree of disagreement, the degree of the differences that is there between the parties, the opponent parties. And when I say parties, it can be individual, it can be a group, it can be team, it can be departmental, and we have the issues remains as such, the action, the resources, whatever the center of attraction that the two parties tries to have complete control over. This is what is conflict. Any opposition, any differences is the matter of fact. The basic foundation of conflict is all about it. So the role of staff members in conflict resolution is about key competencies. Yes, we are looking into key competencies, deals with conflicts and grievances in a timely fashion, acts in accordance with the standards of conduct for international civil services, which we are looking for. The standards of conduct for international civil services, as in the staff members are concerned, which is very men prevalent in every organization, and I am talking about organization without the boundaries of political nature. It is prevalent all across the globe. Let us understand what is the cost, what actually are the demerits of conflict. Number one demerit is the wastage of time. It is the time that you lose over petty things. At times it might be important things, but mostly it is an unproductive issues and unproductive things. Then comes the loss of skilled staff. Yes, in conflict, in case the solution does not come as a win-win state of affairs, and that win-win solution is always 25% chance of happening it around, and in the rest of the 75% of the chance it can be a win-lose or a lose-win or a lose-lose. What I wanted to stress upon it, at least 75, at least three out of every options that or four options that is available would mean that one party wins, the other party lose. And in case the lost party or the lost individual might lose not only the interest but probably might leave the organization. So actually it means a loss of staff, essentially not only wastage time and loss of staff. What does it actually mean to? It means there's a dent in the confidence, even for that matter, for the person, for the party, for the individual, for the team which actually won over the conflicting issues. Is the productivity or the morale which goes down, the confidence is at the lowest of the ebb. And last but not the least, it is the health concerns of the employees or the people in consideration has impact negatively. When I say of health, it need not be only physical health, it can be of cognitive health too. Remember, these are the direct costs for handling formal cases, and then there are certain hidden costs too. So what we have been trying to tell it to you is conflict is mostly dysfunctional in nature. No wonder in what shape or it turns out to be, it is always ugly. So keys to prevent and resolving conflict that we go around it. We are talking about everything that can be done in as respect to the changes and problems in construction, in dispute resolution. First and foremost thing is training. Induction training, need for access by everybody. Conflict resolution training is an OHRM training. This is what we talk about is the organizational human resource management training in conflict resolution, in cultural diversity, This is what we are looking to go forward it and probably be with it every now and then. We will speak about the improvement in communication at workplace is to put in practice what you have learned, put in practice what you need to know. Remember, conflict resolution is nothing but all about releasing your stresses, being inclusive and being focused on the goal. That is what we are looking for. Conflict resolution is all around it. Keys to prevent conflict. There are formal channels and there are informal channels. Under the formal challenge, we have something called an administrative review. So we are bringing in a mediator, we are bringing in an ombudsman, as into what to do in terms of conflicting situation. Is the Joint Appeal Board, the specialized resources and procedures, and United Nations probably administrative tribunals if conflicts are of geopolitical in nature. This is what we are looking into it. In an organization, everything can be done in the very first step of an administrative reviews. Next is your informal things. It's about your ombudsman or a mediator that becomes around it. Yes, self-help, so helps of colleagues and friends, supervisors, human resources, officer, focal point for women, executive officers, anybody in a superior position, anybody who is neutral to the situation, anybody with an interest in the situation would help as an ombudsman or a mediator. Now, these are only an informal methods. In the formal method, I've already said to you, as in the administrative board, the joint appeal board, and so on and so forth, is there. The laws of the lands have been manipulated or been executed or been implemented the way you want to do it by the courts present in the country, and they are also a conflict resolution technique. Nevertheless, that is what we are looking out here. So in informal things, why are we going for informal, and what are the outcomes basically for the resolution or dispute resolution techniques are all about it. First and foremost is an early resolutions, early resolving, early removing the misconception or differences, thereby pacifying every party and ensuring that their peace entails ensuring there are no disturbance in the production capabilities of the firm. So it is basically proactive and preventive. We are trying, in fact, everybody tries for a win-win solution. Before the conflict escalation, we try to address the issue. We try to nip the problem in the bud itself. So no administrative decisions are required. It is being done as in what we call as an out of a court settlement. It is done very informally, and there are no records being kept. But what happens in cases of formal thing? Absolutely the other ways thing. In an early resolution, probably no. In a formal conflict resolution, it is time consuming. You have set procedures to be in place. You have appeals to be made. You have things that needs to be followed, and essentially it elongates a time. It is mostly reactive rather than being proactive, because by this time conflict has already happened and you have registered the complaint and probably have brought the issue into the limelight. So there is something called judgment or decision that comes around it. When we say about judgment and decision, again, it might be not the case of win-win. It can be a case of win-lose, lose-win, or lose-lose situation. So win-lose solution comes forward as in a party generally wins the argument, and there is the other party which becomes an aggrieved one. So after the conflict occurrence is what formal resolution techniques or dispute techniques begins. Administrative decision requirement is what we are looking into it, and the record keeping takes place. Since this is a formal thing, it is always kept in the record, be it in the organization, be it in the law of the land. Wherever you want to go around it, it is always documented, and that is what I've been trying to tell it to you as far as conflict resolution and dispute resolution is concerned. Let me bring in the role of the ombudsman. Ombudsmen are facilitators of conflict resolution by providing advice on the resource available, informal mediation, informal fact finding, referral, and so on and so forth. As a change agent is a systematic issue that comes around it by probably making recommendation for a change in the policies and the procedures or suggesting what could have been done. It might be a suggestion that needs to be enacted upon it. So as a ombudsman, you are basically listening to the both sides of the story of the aggrieved parties altogether, make both formal and informal procedures in place, absolutely do a fact finding with a neutrality, and then probably come up with certain suggestion, and this suggestion can be having a rippling effect even in the future cases as such. So working principles, there are five working principles of ombudsman. First and foremost thing is objectivity. It should be neutral. The ombudsman should not take a biased view of either of the party. The neutrality needs to be maintained at all time. Remember, the ombudsmanship can maintain the neutrality only when it is independent of any pulls and pushes. There are no been pressures around it. The first thing being objectivity, which needs to be neutrally done and being independent of each others. So once you are independent, it means that you are impartial, right? Absolutely impartial. And the procedures and the policies and the methods and the steps that are taken in conflict resolutions or dispute resolution, as the case might be, should always be confidential. Neither of the party should even get a puff of what actually is happening or is going to happen. The ombudsman should be very neutral when it's doing its own fact finding mission as to what led to the conflict in the first place. Talking about confidentially is where we do not keep any records, no reporting of individual cases, no malignment, absolutely no hampering with the reputation, no disclosures of information about the visitors. When I say no information, neither do you confirm nor do you deny. No testifying of the concerns brought to the ombudsman attention except with the express consent of the staff members concerned, except until and unless you say it out loudly and vehemently. So access to the ombudsman is all the staff members equally have direct access, irrespective of the grade, irrespective of the location, both international and national, providing safe environment without a fear of retaliation as the case might be. This is what we are looking at it. We are talking irrespective of the grade, irrespective of the location, being both nationals and international as the case might be. So the steps to be taken is making appointment by email, by telephone, by visit. Now this is what we need to do it as a mediator, as an ombudsman. How do we go across with it? So you first make an appointment, meeting with an ombudsman in person or by telephone or by even for that matter in email, and then probably follow up by either one of your staff members or follow up by the ombudsman with the agreement of the staff member before you actually come to a conclusion and close your case and come arrive to a decisions altogether. So what does the ombudsman do and doesn't? Let us understand. First and foremost thing it does is an objective review, understand the critic points, understand the issue in detail. It should be equal and confidential treatment. The fact finding mission and inquiries have to be taken place. Bring concerns to the appropriate offices. Remember, only as on when the staff member agrees to it. Bring concerns. If there are certain red flags that is coming up, please bear it out. Please flaunt it out. Let the person know, let the department know, let the organization know what is going wrong with it. What it doesn't do is to disclose a personal identity. Definitely doesn't means demean a person. It doesn't hamper with the dignity of the person. It doesn't keeps a record. It doesn't makes a decision. It doesn't makes a policy. It only suggests. Remember, ombudsman can only suggest. It can only mandate an action, serves as an advocate and testify thereby why it is suggesting certain changes in the policies and procedure, why it is coming to a particular decision. It will give valid justification thereby it is up to the organization, it is up to the parties to mend the rules and adhere by it. And that is what the ombudsman doesn't do. So it doesn't keep record, it doesn't make decision, it doesn't make policy, it doesn't mandate action, but it does suggest. It serves as an advocate, and it doesn't testify anyway. So let me summarize what we have been trying to do in the subsequent two slides. The ombudsman acting independently and impartiality and respecting the confidentiality. It provides staff at all levels in the organization with an independent, voluntary, and confidential process. This is what we are looking to it to facilitate all forms of conflict. Remember, we are targeting conflict only at the workplace and nowhere else. So advise a staff member on problem or grievances related to the terms and condition of the employment, their working condition, and their relation with the colleagues with a view to enhance the overall working environment the case might be. Remember, in cases of disagreement, it should work in tandem with each of the parties to reach a fair solution, to reach a win-win solution if possible. Go does the informal fact-finding mission on its own, goes for a discussion and mediation, and probably come up with suggested recommendation or solution. What does it goes to create around it? It creates a workplace of promoting a cross-cultural and inclusions from of people from different background and diversity, acts as a resources for the best practices in relation to the function of ombudsman, and facilitates the exchange of information, experiences in this respect, develops and implement communication and outreach strategies to educate staff with respect to the roles. Remember, advises the Secretary Generals on issues and trends affecting the staff, making recommendation on preventive action as and when necessary. Remember, this is what we are looking to build up a case for consensus, to build up a case where everybody, all the aggrieved parties, have some sense of resemblance, and they continue to work in tandem, in cooperation with one another. The conclusion being what? It should be to be encouraged to resolve conflict, to encourage to do anything with dispute resolution at the earliest possible stage. If possible, can you be proactive? But by the time ombudsman comes in, it is almost reactive stage, because it's been reported keys to conflict resolutions are only training, training of diversity, training of adherence, training of being transparent with one another, training of having a wonderful communication abilities. Be advised on the role of ombudsman, the facilitators of informal conflict resolution. Be advised of equal access to those who works at UN, irrespective of level or grade of staff member. You need to understand time and again what needs to be done every now and then. This is what will take all sort of dispute resolution and the changes in the procedures of the workings of the organization. Yes, with this, if you keep your mind open, if you are keep being receptive to the issues, if you are being transparent, if you are thorough with your communication skills, I am sure all conflicting resolutions will take place much more sooner and much more proactively and productively. Thank you for watching this video.